Yo, yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's been a little bit. We got an interesting video for y'all coming up. This is going to be my thoughts and feelings on Ryan Russo, however the fuck you want to say it, right? He's one of these, YouTube personalities that likes to, let's say, educate people on PEDs and harm reduction, okay? Overall, that's great. I think he's trying to better the industry. I think he's trying to be somewhat truthful, but now herein lies the issue. His advice sucks. He really gives terrible fucking advice. None of it makes sense. And on top of all that, listen, I mean, no disrespect to him, but he looks like shit, man. He's been doing this for like, I don't know, 8, almost 10 years, and he's really made very little progression, okay? And now you gotta ask yourself, do you really want to be taking advice on bodybuilding from somebody who can't seem to progress their own physique? Right? At the end of the day, man, if you can't get your own body under control, how on earth could you expect to get anybody else's? Right? So again, this isn't a shot at him. I know he doesn't have like the best genetics and everything like that, but I mean, dude, the guy calls himself the bloat lord. The fucking bloat lord, man. It's not a good look, right? On top of that, it's not healthy. All that extra water retention leads to increased blood pressure, I don't even think the guy takes blood pressure medication, to be honest with you. I know he advocates for, like, checking your blood pressure, but what do you do if it's high? I don't know, maybe take blood pressure medication? Right? Seems pretty obvious, but I don't know. Apparently for him, it's not. So, guys, when you're listening to people like this, you really got to take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because these guys, honestly, their expertise is really in like harm mitigation and, for lack of a better term, the nerdy side of this, all right? And look, there is a place for, the nerdy stuff, right? We want to stay healthy and we want to be able to do this for as long as possible. So in order to do that, we need to practice harm mitigation, of course, and, do everything we can to, maintain our health while on these cycles. However, that doesn't mean fucking with these weird alien, type compounds like these SARMs and these peptides and all kinds of shit. Zero human trials, basically zero long-term studies done whatsoever, like barely even animal models. And, we're telling people that this is a safer alternative to steroids that have over 100 years of documented use in humans. Right? Every steroid that we use as bodybuilders have all been approved for human use at one point in time. So, I mean, that says it all, right? These compounds really aren't that dangerous. They are just hormones at the end of the day. They will affect your blood work, right? Depending on the individual, how much, is going to depend on their own genetics. But really, like, they're relatively safe. Real steroids that have been, approved for human use are relatively safe. The SARMs, you're taking a shot. We just don't know. And in terms of effectiveness too, there's just steroids are more effective. You're going to get the results you're actually trying to get. When you're fucking with these SARMs, you're constantly worried about liver stress and you're cycling on, you're cycling off. None of these things are meant to be really like long-term cycles. When you're taking compounds approved for human use that have longitudinal studies that are proven to be safe, right? Seems like the much obvious, better choice to make. Okay? And then another thing, there's a reason why, professional bodybuilders, for the most part, they're not using SARMs, guys. They're just not. Maybe on a cruise at a really low dose to try and, just help maintain, some of the muscle mass, like slightly higher androgenic levels in the bodies. I can see maybe a place for it. But if you're serious about bodybuilding, you want to look good, you want to look like, you know what you're talking about, stay away from the SARMs, guys. Just honestly, really do. And especially stay away from SARMs without any kind of test base. And not even without any kind of test base, unless you're going to inject testosterone, do not use SARMs. Like, another thing drives me crazy about Ryan Russo is he, advocates for all these ridiculous, alternatives to the test base. Like, oh, take L-clomiphene and, aromatase and, all of this just nonsense. It's basically nonsense. It really makes no sense, okay? Like, any SARM, you're going to be suppressing, the androgens in your body, no matter what. No matter what SARM, basically at any dose, they are very suppressive, right? We got to get this, through first and foremost. They are suppressive, okay? There is no SARM that's not really suppressive. Which is why, right, you need to use it with testosterone. If you don't, you're just fucking your body up, man. You really are. So there's just so much misconception about the right way to do things and harm mitigation, and it's all just getting so confused, okay? Right? At the end of the day, it's not that complicated. Stick to compounds that have been approved for human use, that have long-term, research backing their efficacy, and you're going to be okay. You're going to get the results you want. But you also can't be scared by, these fear-mongers, basically is what it is on YouTube, just trying to steer people away from taking the compounds that are actually going to be effective, right? And they try and play it off like, oh, if you do it, this way, it's going to be safer. And, maybe a little bit, but you're still taking a chance. There's no, safe way to do this. There are safer ways to do it. And honestly, in my opinion, that would be taking compounds approved for human use and, of course, doing harm mitigation, right? You're taking blood pressure medication, a blood thinner, right? Maybe something to help you sleep, all of these things, right? If you're doing all of these things, you really are going to be able to mitigate a ton of the side effects that come with real gear. So, I'm not trying to hate on Ryan, but I just feel like he is not helping our industry. He really isn't. Because I see these kids online too, they're just perpetuating the bullshit and the lies. Like, oh, if you take 125 mgs of tren, you're going to lose your mind and, think your wife's cheating on you. This is crazy. This is ridiculous. These people have clearly never taken tren before. It's just not like that. So, you know what, man? If you made it this far, I hope you learned something from this. I hope it's helpful for you. At the end of the day, if you want to be serious about this, you got to take the stuff that we know works. Don't mess around with this alien bullshit that, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We just don't know. Stick with what we know works, and I promise you're going to get results. Of course, it starts in the kitchen, right? You got to have a good diet. You got to exercise. The rest will follow. But stick to compounds that are actually, going to get you the results that you want. So, hey, man, if you made it this far, I appreciate the hell out of you. I really do. Leave a comment, ask me some questions, whatever it is, man. Thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Until the next one, guys, stay up.